Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to do my Q&A video because tomorrow I actually will have the day off. And so I figured I'd post a video today answering your questions regarding The Walking Dead, Dead City Season 2, since we do have the premiere date now for this show. And so make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I'm really excited for this show's premiere. We're exactly 67 or 66 days away until the show premieres, and it's going to fly by a lot. Like, that's the one thing that I've learned. And I've talked about this in the past, but whenever you get to like that 50-day mark, that's usually where things really pick up quite a bit in terms of promotion and all that. And it's always been that way. So I'm expecting a lot of stuff to happen here in like 3 weeks from now, I would say. Like, that's sort of always been what I've said anyways, is like the first day of spring is when I think we will get more here. But yeah, if you do want to take part in these Q&As, definitely go and join me on Discord. Their server name is Appetite for the Dead. The link is in the description of this video, but let's actually get into the very first question here. Q&A, we hear Maggie holds Lucille in some manner in The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2. Does Herschel see that? And if so, what kind of effect does that have on the relationship between him and his mother? I'm sure Herschel has heard about Negan and his beloved Bat's gruesome adventures in some form or another. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for the question. It is very possible that if Herschel is there, that it does change the way that he sort of views his mother, right? Like, I think that that's one of the things that's sort of difficult about going into season 2 is it's hard to see where certain characters are going to go. Like, you know, they've been teasing this whole Herschel storyline for a very long time, but is that actually going to happen? And I think, or I mean, it's going to happen, but like, is it going to be where he becomes a villain, or is it more like he's just angry all the time, right? Like, I think that that also could be a part of it too. So it really depends. Honestly, it really does depend. I think that if Maggie did have Lucille and, you know, Herschel saw Maggie, that would be absolutely incredible. I think that just anything there, any drama around that, I would absolutely love. And I hope that we do get, but you know, for me, I talked about it in my previous video, but I really do think it's going to be one of those things where, like, maybe, and I guess it really could be anything. This is sort of my theory right now anyways, which is I think that Maggie could end up killing the Dama using the Lucille bat. And I think that it makes sense in terms of, you know, the Dama wants to create like the old version of Negan, right? And it would be crazy if like that's how the Dama died in the end. I think that makes some sense too for the character, and Maggie, you know, getting to that point. I mean, it would be a really crazy journey for her in season 2. It seems like this season is going to really start a lot of stuff, and I'm really curious as to how the characters are going to handle all of this here. Q&A. Gimple talked about how this season is very political and how there is no clear villain. I know you've theorized the ending will be very impactful. Do you see this political divide between the different factions of New York and New Babylon and the Bricks being the main setting of the series from this point? Or do you think by the end of season 2, any scheming will be resolved and the story simplified like all the other spin-offs have done so far? Will Dead City continue the trend of returning to The Walking Dead's roots of semi-low stakes survival, or will season 2 set the groundwork for a complex world that in some way exceeds the Maggie/Negan drama? I think that is a possibility. I think, you know, I first of all, I really look at the character Bruegel, and I just think that it makes so much sense that he is most likely going to be a character in season 3. I don't think they're going to leave that character to just, I guess, die at some point this season, because they're making a really big deal about the character. So I think that he's going to be a character in season 3. So I think part of what you're saying there is right. Like, I think that they are laying the groundwork for something that will be a little bit more complex in terms of, you know, maybe something bigger than, I guess, what the Dead City storyline could be. But it is still one of those things where I think that's maybe what they want for the Dead City storyline, right? Like, they might just want all of these groups here and, you know, I guess New York City being run, I guess, by all of these groups, and things are just at higher stakes now. And I think that in terms of what you were saying before, you know, in terms of it being, I guess, like not low level, you know, in terms of like the threat level of everything here, and it's more simple and all that, but like, I guess semi-low stakes survival is what you're saying there. I think that it depends on, I don't know, I think season 1 was a lot of that. I think going forward here, it's not going to be like that so much. I think they really want to make Dead City a bigger story. And that was the criticism of season 1, because you were looking at Daryl Dixon and how big the story was there, right? Like, Daryl going all the way to France, all of this stuff happening, and The Ones Who Live had this really epic journey with, the CRM and everything that happened there. And you looked at Dead City, and it was just Maggie trying to find Herschel. Like, it was a very, very simple story, and I think a lot of people liked it, but there were a lot of people who didn't. So I think that that's one thing there that they probably will have to change, right? Like, I think that they likely heard those criticisms, and that's why we're seeing a lot more here in season 2. So I expect that they're going to stay true to what the show is, but there will be some changes there. Q&A. Negan is going back to his old self, but it's not by choice. How do you think Maggie is actually going to react to seeing Negan back as his old self? Because she was shook when she saw him cut that guy's throat in season 1. Well, yeah, I think that's part of it too, is like, I think that in terms of how Maggie's going to actually react to it, I think it's going to be very badly in the beginning, but you just got to remember that the reason why he's doing all of this is because of Herschel, right? Like, Herschel, the Dama cut his toe off, right? So, like, that's crazy. And she even said, like, if you try to leave, then, like, we'll find him again, basically, right? So for Negan, he can't leave. He really just simply cannot leave. So I do expect that, that's going to be one of the things that we do see from Maggie in the very beginning of the season for the first, I don't know how many episodes, but she's probably going to react pretty badly to that. And I think there will be a Maggie versus Negan drama, throughout a lot of season 2. But I think that as we get, I guess throughout the season, we will see some more stuff with like Bruegel and other villains and whatnot, I guess, being way more, I think, involved in some of that, because there's way more villains, right? Like, there's not one specific villain here. Even though I think that Bruegel is going to be like the main villain, I think that a lot of people are going to like Bruegel. And I think the reason is because, it's Kim Coates, right? Like, everyone loves Kim Coates. So I just think that that's going to be the whole aspect of the season here. We're not going to really have a villain. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that Maggie, her reaction to it, I think is going to be pretty bad in the beginning, but I think over time she will understand it. And then I think maybe she almost becomes a villain herself. Q&A. Do you see Maggie and Negan taking over and running Manhattan? I know Maggie takes Pamela's leadership position of the Commonwealth in the comics, so I'm wondering if they are going to remix that into Dead City eventually by having her be in control of New York City. That's a really interesting idea right there. Like, yeah, Maggie is a natural leader in this world, and yeah, like, she's the leader of the Bricks right now, but in the comic, she became the leader of the Commonwealth, right? She was the president of the Commonwealth, and she had a really high ranking there. So I think that, yeah, I could totally see that there. Like, I don't know where they're going to go eventually with this New York storyline. Like, that's something we can talk about once we get into like season 3 or 4 or whatever, right? Like, once we get to that point, it'll be pretty obvious as to like, well, are they going to leave New York City, or like, where are they going to go afterward? Because are they going to go away from New York City? Like, I really do wonder how the last season of Dead City is going to play out. Like, and that's the thing too, is like, this is Maggie and Negan's story, right? So this show is most likely going to end with their stories ending. Like, I know there's going to be the reunion and everything with Rick and Michonne, and we're going to see all of that. But I think in terms of their own personal stories, we're going to see most of that played out here, I think, in this spinoff. So when this spinoff is over, it's going to be really the ending of their stories. And I think any sort of reunion afterwards is going to be more of the fun stuff. And obviously it still will build on their characters and everything, but the spinoffs really are for like a lot of the personal stuff, right? So that's where I see that going. Q&A. Do you think we'll get a chance to meet Perlie's family? And what do you think Perlie is going to do this season? So in terms of Perlie Armstrong, I don't know in terms of like meeting his family. Like, maybe I think we're going to learn a lot more about New Babylon, because I think that New Babylon is really interesting. Like, they could be as big as the Commonwealth. Like, it's very possible, right? Because we really didn't get to learn a lot about them, but like, they have law everywhere and all these rules and everything, right? And so I feel like they're a pretty big community, right? And so it really does depend. I think that Perlie Armstrong will be a big part of this season here. I think in terms of his goals, he lied at the very end about what happened to Negan, right? So I think that is going to be really the start of it there, is that maybe they find out that he's actually out there, or they send him out there. Like, he's going to have to try find him now and actually get rid of him for real. But then again, he lied. Maybe Perlie Armstrong's going to be, running away from everybody now, right? And so I do wonder how all of this is going to play out. But Perlie, I think for sure, is going to be a pretty big character this season. I'm just really interested in terms of where his story is going to go and how much screen time he will get, because he could be a character that dies this season. Like with the spinoffs, it's very unpredictable, right? So, but I do want to thank you all for all the questions. I really do appreciate all the questions. Again, if you do want to take part in these Q&As, just go and join the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. There will be a link in the description of this video here, and I do them every single Wednesday. So, I mean, is today Wednesday? Actually, I think today, I'm recording this on Wednesday, actually, but I think this is going to come out on Thursday, so I was almost on time. Like, usually when The Walking Dead is airing, it's, like, always on Wednesdays, but, like, when it's in the off season, it's always just, like, it'll be within that week, but it might not be on the Wednesday. In terms of what's next and what I'm really looking forward to in the next couple of days here, I mean, my daughter's birthday's on Friday, so I might not do anything that day. Saturday is going to be a pretty busy day as well, so we'll see in terms of content what's going to be coming out around then. But I will say in terms of Daredevil Born Again, I will be covering that show. So that show, I'll have my first review out on, I guess when the day comes out, right? Along with maybe a trailer breakdown for the following week's episode, if we do actually get that. I think we're going to be getting 2 episodes there. So I'll probably do my review of both episodes in like one video. And yeah, because I'm excited to see John Bernthal back as the Punisher. I think, honestly, that's going to be just absolutely incredible to see. But yeah, so I'm going to leave it here though. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.